Today what we're going to be working on is setting goals. What is my goal when I come up to my station right now? What I'm going to be practicing today, right? So my main goal today, I'm just going to be hitting some golf balls. I'm going to also toss some golf balls. And I have what Coach Tim challenged me to do is just try throwing off certain different positions. So, and what I mean by that is where my weight is when I'm tossing the ball at the beginning and where my weight is at the end. So I'm gonna set specific goals. I have a little alignment stick set out not too far in front of me, probably about 9 feet, 8 feet if that. But I'm more focused on how I feel. So I'm gonna be tossing first, and then I'm gonna be hitting, and I'm gonna be focused on how I feel versus my outcome. So the cameraman's not really gonna be panning out to the target side, but we're gonna be asking myself some questions. I'm gonna be asking myself some questions because Tim might have some questions for me about how each process felt, right? So I have 5 golf balls that I'll be hitting. I have 4 golf balls that I'll be tossing. I'm gonna be setting goals each time. So Coach Tim first, before he came out here, he's like, "Hey, why don't you try tossing a ball?" We were watching some football. We had seen some quarterbacks falling behind them, so they're fading away and they're throwing the ball. He's like, "What would typically happen if you do that in golf? What's the golf translation, right?" And we've all been on the tee box where you see somebody, they get up, and you could just see that they're ready to kind of crank it like a baseball player, right? They look like they're trying to hit a home run for the World Series. All their weight is on the backside of the leg. What happens? You see real neutral stances at the beginning. Sometimes you might see somebody ready to hit a bunt, so their weight's on their front foot and they're there fast. So you see it in different sports. You've seen it this weekend if you're watching football games, because Tim and I watched a couple games. You've seen it in football or baseball, I mean. Now let's see what happens when you do it in golf. First things first, like I said, I'm going to be tossing, right? So I'm going to put my golf club down. I have 4 golf balls. My main goal is just to experiment what's going to be happening with each thing. So my end goal is, yeah, I want to get closest to the little lineman stick that I have with my flag, but I'm going to be setting individual goals, right? So what is my goal when I'm tossing this first one? So the first step, I'm going to be experimenting with hitting. I'm kind of on a fairly flat surface. I'm going to be leaning back. So I'm going to put 80% of my weight on my back leg and see how that looks. So if you ever have owned a bicycle, it's almost like a peg stand for your bike. This is my right leg is my peg stand on the bike, right? It's holding me up. Most of the weight's on this back foot. So I'm going to toss. All right, I hit it. I passed it a little bit, but not too much. Now I'm going to go neutral. So my weight's about 50-50 at the beginning. All right. So I'm focusing on my weight at the beginning. So let's see how all my balance is now. Ooh, if I didn't have the help of some bad help from the leaves, I probably would have gone in the hole. So now I'm going to go where probably about 75 to 80% of my weight is on the front foot. All right. I'm going to toss it. All right, rimmed it out. Um,
So, besides the outcomes, how did you yourself feel
all right,
between each three?
awesome. So just since the last one was in my mind, since it's the last one that happened, I felt like I almost had to tone it down a little bit because I felt like my body wanted to give an extra little kind of release towards the ball. So I felt like I had to tone it down from the beginning, right? As on the contrary, when my weight was all the way on the back, I felt like I had to give a little bit more because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to reach my target. Just because my balance at the beginning was affecting, kind of throwing off my mind, and now I have to kind of figure out what kind of toss I'm going to have, right? If you've ever played a basketball game and you're fading away from a shot at the beginning when you're starting to fade away, your mind automatically tells you, hey, I need to give it a little bit more power. That's why typically you don't really see those kind of shots too often. When I was a little bit more neutral, I just felt like I could just toss it. I didn't really think too much. So I think the difference is in when I'm tossing, it's just I'm thinking you're having to adjust a little bit. It's giving you kind of a little insight, like, all right, if I'm all the way here, I'm already closer to the target. All my power is going here. If I'm on my back foot at the beginning, all right, now I have to kind of go with the ball, right? So now I'm using a little bit more body, trying to make up for that lost balanced start at the beginning, right? So I have one more. I'm going to toss it. I'm going to just do whatever I feel is a little bit more comfortable at the beginning. So I'm just going to go neutral, right? So I'm sideways to my target, just like if I was in golf swing. And I'm going to toss it. All right, not outcome wise, it didn't get there the closest, but it did feel pretty good. It felt what's most comfortable for me. And when you're playing golf, that's what you're gonna want to experiment with. And that's why a lot of golfers, they spend hours and hours practicing. I just seen I think it was Jason Day said he loved putting. He spends like 4 or 5 hours a day putting, right? So then he experimented with a bunch of different things, figured out what worked for him. I'm gonna have a couple balls now. Same thing. I'm carrying over the same concept, and all I'm doing is trying to feel. Right? Golf is a game of feel. You want to that kind of helps you control your game of golf. So I'm gonna hit one golf ball at a time. First golf ball, I'm gonna go towards the. I'm gonna have my weight on the back of my foot. Real quick, Coach Tim, you have a little bit more experience playing golf. Based off what has happened in your experience, what typically happens when you are towards the back of more weight on the back foot when you're chipping?
More weight on the back foot. Ball, I tend to get a little more underneath the ball and send it higher.
Okay.
It gets a little shorter in distance, but a little higher in arc.
Okay. So let me try. All right. So that one, I felt like I had like the same in tossing. I felt like I had to give a little bit more power to my swing because I felt like I was going to lose some just because all my weight's away from my target. If I would have caught a little bit more of the grass, I think I would have got a little bit of the result that Coach Tim says he experiences. Where since you're kind of already lowering your stance, now I'm getting under it a little bit more and making the ball go a little higher. So I think if that I would have experienced that. There was a ball contact, so we're not going to focus too much. I just want to focus on what I'm feeling today, okay? So now I'm going to do the opposite. I want to see what the immediate opposite result is. And that opposite result is going to see if it kind of affects it. So now I'm going to go more on my front foot. My balance is shifted to my target side, okay? So my ball, I'm going to go ahead and set it here. My balance is towards the front target side. All right, not too far from my target. Now I'm gonna hit like if I was hitting a 6-iron. And when I hit a 6-iron, I'm a little bit more neutral. I'm not really putting 85% of my weight at the beginning on one foot versus the other. I'm typically a little bit more neutral. See what the difference in feeling is, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So based off those three, if we talk about the result, yeah, the one that I felt a little bit more comfortable with is what I practice a little bit more. And when I'm chipping, I practice a little bit more with my weight being on the front of my front target side foot. The one that I didn't feel comfortable with is when my weight is at the beginning towards the back of my foot, right? My back target, not my target side, my back foot. Reason why I didn't feel comfortable is, like I said, when I'm tossing it, I feel like I have to make up for something. And then I lost control on it. The ball kind of shot across the green. And I don't know if you guys might experience that, but that's just kind of what happened in a quick little attempt to. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to go target side, front foot, with all my weight there, and then I'm going to go on the back. I'm going to see if I feel anything different. So front, weight on the front foot. All right. And then weight on my back foot, and we'll talk about how it felt. Yeah, I think I felt the same thing. So when I'm chipping with my weight towards my back foot, I feel like me personally, I'm making up for something that I'm losing, right? And what I'm losing is power, because all my weight is here. I'm now trying to swing a little faster, and my ball comes out a little faster. I got a little too much of that ball, so now I've rolled across the green and have to put like a 25-foot putt now from there if I choose that one. The one that I felt most comfortable with is my front foot. Not too much I toned it down on the second one. I probably put about 65% of my weight on that front foot, and that's what I felt comfortable with, right? So like I said, we're talking about setting my goal. My goal is to try to figure out what stance or what position I like to hit in. Where do I like my weight at before I start to hit, right? And that affects my balance. So my beginning balance affects my balance finish, whether I'm able to finish in a statue. So I think at the end of these couple of tosses and swings, I felt most comfortable with my weight here. Not a lot, just a little bit. So if Coach Tim were to be able to kind of push me in a pre-COVID world where we're able to kind of get a little closer to each other, I'd probably fall a little stumble towards my target side versus being a little bit more firm because I have a little bit more weight going that way. That's just me personally, what I felt most comfortable with, right? So that's what I leave today with. I challenge you guys to kind of experiment with that. Go ahead and try tossing. A lot of us don't have access to golf clubs right now, golf balls. I mean, might not have the facility space to kind of practice golf yet, but you don't have to, right? You're able to go out there and toss the ball. It doesn't have to be a golf ball. I could have done that with any golf or tennis ball, baseball, softball, a paper ball. It's just about the feel, right? And then when you go out on the golf course and you get that opportunity to try it out on the golf course, be like, all right, you know, when I used to toss the ball at home, I felt more comfortable when I was in this stance at the beginning versus on my weight in this stance. Okay, so go ahead, practice. If you don't have an opportunity to practice with clubs, like I said, make the best of your situation that you're in right now. Okay. So that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully we can see you guys next week on the golf class and on the coach's corner on next Monday. Okay. So stay safe and have a good day. All right.